Oh, I better start writing it down. I actually, thought it was only. I thought it was only going to be Gladstone Small who did that. So you're asking me for one as well. So I better get my hat off. Oh my gosh. Definitely Nick Knight. And I think the other bloke that I would stick in there would be Andy Moles, my very good friend. I think that if you have anyone that can bat for your life or would want you to bat for your life, I think that's the man. He's just a tough man from Coventry. He's just everything about him is just gutsy. He's such a wonderful character. Nick Knight for me has done so well with opening the batting and literally the 4-day stuff, even in the 1-day stuff. He played for England in the 1-day stuff. So I think Nick Knight, Andy Moles be up there. There's so many other guys that you can think of, and Andy Lloyd, he's been a very, very good captain for such a long time. But I think that he'll probably disown me for not picking him, Lloydie. But I think that he was sort of just on the way out when I first made my way in, so to speak. But I played a lot with Nick Knight and Andy, and I think those two for me will be at the top of the order for sure. I played against Andy, had a lot of good tussles with him, playing for Griquas, and subsequently, obviously, with Warwickshire in the nets in these practice games that we always used to have early season. Watched him a lot, playing in the Birmingham League with him, actually, right at 87, 88, So, but yeah, had some great battles with Andy. I played against him. I played for the National Defence Force 11 versus Griqualand West when he was the overseas player for Griquas, he came out in that game batting with a cap. So, he was this tough bloke from Birmingham or Coventry playing for Warwickshire and is making his way into the game. That was, that was 85, 86 when I played against him. A very strong National Defence Force team. Merrick Pringle was my opening partner in that game with a new ball. Oh, look, he reverted very quick with a grill-less helmet. He quickly put that thing on because I think they sort of underestimated the National Defence Force attack back then because they left that pitch slightly green as well. And that was meant to be a 3-day game. That whole match ended in 2 and a bit days. So it was a bit of a surprise for them. But yeah, he stuck that lid on very quickly, mate. Very quickly. 87, 88. I played. That was, I think, 88 was Dennis's last year at the club. So, and I know that he opened the batting, didn't he? For a long time. Yeah. So, I can't really speak much for Dennis. Am I allowed to have an overseas player in there as well? You can't have 2 overseas players, can you? So, oh wow, okay, then it makes it very easy. Mr. Brian Charles Lara, he slots right in there at number 3, and there's no question about all these youngsters that I'm coaching now, they're asking me who's the best batter that you've ever bowled to. And there's no question of a doubt when it comes to absolutely pure genius, that man, he is number 1. He's absolutely number 1. The shot making he has, the ability to score of good balls and how quickly he batted was just absolutely incredible. And there for me, and I think You know, we all know what he did in '94. I think there's still a lot of bowlers in that year that are still hurting when they dish it up to Brian Charles Lara, because he just, you know, he was just phenomenal. So yeah, Brian Lara for me is my first overseas pick, and he slots in at number 3. Number 4, you're going to have to give me some names here. I would say, let me see, number 4, number 5. I would say number 4 would probably be Trevor Penny. And you can help me with a couple of names because you put me right on the spot here, Brian. Number 5 is Dermot Reeve. He would be my captain of that team. He was the master at it. You know, and I'll give you one example. We're playing Derbyshire at Edgbaston, and a certain Daryl Cullinan came into bat, and I was bowling at that time, and he literally finished the over. He took me off, and I was like sort of flabbergasted. I thought, well, now what? Why have you taken me off? You know, it's just, I want to deal with this, Daryl Cullinan. And he just said, just hold on for a few minutes, or just for a few overs. He brought himself on, and 3 overs later, got Daryl Cullinan out with a wide, floaty outswinger, got himself caught at slip, and he threw the ball back at me. And he just said to me, look, if ever there was an opponent in the opposition, Daryl Cullinan would have been ready for you. He would have been highly motivated, and he was looking forward to the challenge facing yourself. And he just took that out of my hands, brought himself on, got Cullinan out. And look, that's the genius of Dermot Reeve. And I mean that. He's one of the best captains I've played under. There's no question about it. I'm lucky to say that I was lucky to play with him rather than against him, because he would have drove me mad. He was just annoying. He did it beautifully. He played his role on the stage magnificently well. But strategically, he was absolutely awesome. As good as I've seen anyone, and that includes Andy Lloyd, Hansi Cronje, all these guys I've played under, Kepler Wessels, all these guys. I think Dermot Reeve definitely is one of the best, if not the best captain at Warwickshire I've played under, because of his brilliant, subtle changes, his strategic changes, had a feel for what was coming and was ahead of the game always. And I think that's what made him so good. And the other guy that also comes in there for me is Roger Toos. So I think there's my number 6. So TP at number 4, Dermot Reeve at number 5, Roger Toos at number 6. So there's your 2 all-rounders. And Roger Toos, I think, is the most underrated one-day player. When he got eventually picked for New Zealand, and we all knew it. I mean, Dermot Reeve called it early. He said this guy will go back to New Zealand and he will play for New Zealand if he didn't want to stay in the UK and wanting to play for England. He was a wonderful cricketer. That bloke, I speak very highly of him. I'm very fond of Roger Toos. A funny bloke, really funny bloke. But a guy on the field that adds value in all areas. He was a brilliant slipper. He was a great gully fielder. He was just a gutsy trier. You know, he could run in. He believed in himself that he was quicker than Brett Lee or myself. And, you know, that was just a big fat joke. But, I mean, that is just the belief in what Roger Toos brings to a team. Really, really a fine cricketer. I don't think he gets the accolades that I think Roger Toos deserves in a team. I really do. I think he's just an honest, hard-working professional that got us out of some trouble, batted and scored us some big runs in 4-day cricket. We all know his one-day capabilities, but I think Dermot Reeve and Roger Toos, they complement each other really, really well there. So what we got? Nick Knight, Moles, Lara, TP, Dermot Reeve, Roger Twos. And then we're getting down to the business areas of now your 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's see then. Number 7, I would say Ashley Giles. He comes in at number 7. Can't leave the King of Spain out. Ashley, brilliant cricketer. Really enjoyed playing with him. We all know how successful he was in Test cricket and how he frustrated batsmen bowling over the wicket, left arm spin, and he did his job beautifully. And same with Warwickshire. I think his capabilities of scoring. Oh, you're not wrong there. You're not wrong there. He slots in at number 8. Keith Piper, Leicester second 11 game. I think were early 90s, 93. I reckon it was there when this young kid he came on trial, and we played Leicester at Grace Road, and he took a catch off me off Tim Boone, diving high to his right in front of first slip. And we just thought, that's it. This guy, that is a real deal. He is the real deal. It's a shame, actually. He never played for England. I know he played for England A or the Lions a little bit. Alex Stewart still says that he is undoubtedly the best keeper, the glove man that that was around back in those days. He scored wonderful runs. He was always under the radar. I don't think he gets enough credit for what he's done with the bat for Warwickshire. But my word, if there was a guy with safer hands, they don't come any better than Pipes. Awesome glove man. Broke a lot of digits in the process as well, with the ball wobbling so much. But yeah, look, Keith Piper he was an absolute jewel. There's no doubt about it. And you look at that 5, 6, 7, 8, Reeve, Twos, Giles, Piper. Just a fantastic. Those guys can all score hundreds. They can all score hundreds. There's no question about it. And I think, and then you now left with 9, 10, 11. Now I've got to be very careful how I go here. I think let me just put my. Let's see. 9. It's got to be Gladstone Small, without a shadow of a doubt. My good friend, one of the best opening partners that I shared the ball with, and he effectively, and I know I've said this to you, Brian, is that he was effectively my bowling coach. He was the guy that guided me right from the moment I got to Warwickshire in '87. I just loved his calmness, his coolness. Obviously, being a Barbadian as well, there's nothing less stressful than the West Indians can put on the table. So he was absolutely awesome for me, I think. And then having him at mid-on and mid-off, where I had him so often, was just a great time, where, especially one-day cricket, where I wasn't quite sure what my exit plans were. So he was a brilliant sounding board at mid-on and mid-off. So Smalley definitely gets in there. You could argue the fact that he could be batting at 9, because he has scored some valuable runs for England, and he's no mug with a bat either. And he showed that in county cricket as well. So I think now it becomes a unbelievable bun fight between Dougie Brown or Tim Munton. And wow, who do you leave out? I know that Dougie Brown's going to absolutely lash me for this if I don't pick him. The Alloa Rocket, as he'd like to call himself. I think, again, he's there wasn't and I say this with the greatest of respect, there wasn't this wow factor about Dougie Brown. It was just, he was an honest cricketer, didn't bowl with express pace, but was there and thereabout. He was a guy that would take big wickets, broke big partnerships, and can score big runs for you in a crisis situation, in any form of the game. And he just wanted it so much, And I know that when we watched that video again the other day, when the Bears on the rampage, when a young Dougie Brown came in 95, when he announced himself really in that team, when there was an injury, I got injured, he got in, but I think he became a full-on member of that side because, Dermot Reeve realised the potential in this guy, and he became one of Warwickshire's, finest young all-rounders back in those days. So, and I think that, he deserves to get into any Warwickshire team because of what he can bring. So I'm not going to pick myself in this team. So I know I've had a terrific time with the Bears, but if I have to pick two guys to fill that 11, I would say then Dougie Brown, he'd probably slot in at 9, Small at 10, Munton 11. That's it. He doesn't miss many 50 pence pieces, does he? So he just a colossal of a man, really. The horse, call him what you work or what you want. You plug him in at one end and you say, "See you tonight." So he'll bowl all day, and he'll just lock people away. It was so good. It was almost like Pollock-like, not as quick, but just absolutely gun barrel straight. Little bit of shape on the ball, but just completely locked you away from at the other end. When you know that I was always his partner after Gladstone was gone, when he retired. It was always a nice feeling when you know that Munty's at the other end, just locking people away, and you can just go and do what you want at one end. He was a perfect partner. It was very much like a Sean Pollock. But yeah, I mean, we all know how valuable he was, Munts. And also, let's not forget how sensible that man was. And his nickname was Sensible because he was just too sensible. He just did things. No, you can't do that. You have to do it this way. But what a great man. What a great man. I love him to bits. We haven't even put Neil Smith in there. Sorry, Smithy. But in all the other teams, I'll definitely pick you, mate. So that's my all-time Warwickshire 11. Well, we had a few characters, and the one guy we left out of here. If you have to pick 12 or 13, then I would add a Paul Smith to that. And we all know Paul, what a character. And Neil Smith in the 13, I can't leave him out. I'll feel too bad if I leave him out. So, and I know Neil's. I started this Warwickshire WhatsApp group about 6 weeks ago, and it was so good to have all these guys on there bantering away about the old days and still giving each other a bit of gas right up to today. It's awesome, absolutely brilliant to have all those guys. There's about 17 of us on that group at the moment, and it's fantastic just to catch up about the olden days. But yeah, look, we had unbelievable fun in the mid-90s. I have to say, we created such a vibe, and I think that if you look at all those names there, from 90 to 96, 7, that team became, you pick all your leaders out of that team. It was a almost bordering on a self-sustainable team, having Bob Woolmer as our leader in the coaching department. So when he took over from Neil, gosh, you got to help me here. Phil Neal. There we go. Phil, when he took over from Phil Neal, or Phil Neal took over from Bob Woolmer, shall I say? That's right. When Phil took over, he almost had that perfect team to run with. Had leaders across the dressing room, where it made a coach's dream come true. That's for sure. Having those players. So I was very lucky to play in that era. I must admit, I really was. We can still write books from all these times we had back in those days. It was just phenomenal.